Welcome to today's podcast of Everyone Has the Freedom to Choose. This is Deb King. Join us for today's Cornerstone Conversation, Seasons in Life, a good look at grief. Learning to thrive in the face of loss. Grief is not reserved only for the death of a person we love. We grieve people, yes, but we also grieve seasons. We grieve relationships that changed, dreams that did not unfold the way we imagined, bodies that no longer move with the freedom they once had, diagnoses that altered the rhythm of our days, and lifestyles we thought would always be ours. We grieve independence. We grieve simplicity. We grieve recovery when it takes longer than we hoped. We grieve the version of life we once knew. Grief in many ways is the evidence that something mattered. But grief does not have to become the boundary line of our lives. It may be part of the journey, but it does not have to be the whole story. Can we thrive in the face of loss? Humanly speaking, the question feels almost impossible. But God, those two words have held generations together. But God, when strength fails. But God, when the future looks unfamiliar. But God, when loss leaves a silence no one else can fill. But God, He enters the places where our hearts have broken and reminds us that even here, in this valley, there is still purpose. Life moves in seasons. Some are full of laughter, movement, and harvest. Others feel quiet, barren, and hidden. Yet every season belongs to God. We are sojourners here, passing through this life with an assignment. We are not wandering without meaning. We are here to fulfill God's plan and purpose for our lives. That does not mean we will not grieve. Scripture never asks us to pretend. God does not require us to minimize our pain in order to prove our faith. There are times to mourn. There are times to remember. There are times to sit with sorrow and let the tears come. But even in grief, there is holy work to be done. We can celebrate those we have lost. We can identify the good and honor it. We can put the bad in its proper place, refusing to let pain rewrite the entire story. We can remember what kind of legacy we want to leave. We can ask ourselves, what am I feeding into others? What am I planting in the lives around me? Whether we are given many years or only a few, life is still sacred. Time changes many things, but it does not erase purpose. The distance between then and now may soften some edges, deepen some wisdom, and reveal what we could not see at first. Grief changes us, but by the grace of God, it need not destroy us. In Psalm chapter 90, verse 12, Moses prayed, "So teach us to number our days that we may get a heart of wisdom." To number our days is not to live afraid of death. It is to live awake. It is important to understand that our moments are not meaningless. It is to let eternity shape our priorities. When we remember that our days are numbered, we begin to live differently. We prioritize what matters. Grief has a way of cutting through the noise, the petty arguments, the endless distractions, the things we thought were urgent. Suddenly, they lose their grip. We begin to invest our energy in people, passions, and purposes that carry eternal value. We live intentionally. We stop merely passing time and begin treasuring it. We savor conversations. We forgive sooner. We say what needs to be said. We show up while we still have the opportunity. We seek lasting meaning. We stop postponing love. We stop assuming there will always be another chance. We begin building a legacy not someday, but today. I have often spoken about Grandma C. She was my spiritual mentor, my mama, my closest friend, and grandma to my children. We were not related by blood or law, but she lived with me for about 13 years, and we were closer than family could ever be defined on paper. I remember one morning when I had not seen her come out for breakfast. It was close to 10 o'clock, so I went in to check on her. There she was, lying in bed, covered up to her chin. I smiled and asked, "You okay, Mama?" Her answer was honest and serious, and yet, all these years later, it still brings a tender chuckle to my heart. "I'm waiting for the Lord to come and take me home," she said. I looked at her and replied, "Well, if he doesn't come by dinner time, You have to come out to the table because I'm not serving you in bed." I winked. She smiled, and sure enough, she was up and ready for dinner. Later, I asked her what had been weighing on her heart. She told me she was lonesome for her husband, Herman, who had passed away nearly 20 years before. Her grief had not disappeared with time. It had simply changed shape. It had become a longing, a homesickness, a quiet ache for the one she loved. But God was not finished with her yet. In the years that followed, my youngest daughter would bring her friends to Grandma's room. They would sit with her, listening to stories of days gone by. They hung on every word. What looked to Grandma like waiting was, in God's hands, still ministry. Her room became a place of memory, wisdom, laughter, and legacy. She lived another 5 or 6 years. She went home to heaven at 94. God knew the day. God knew the hour. And until then, He still had a purpose for her life. That is one of the great truths we must hold on to in every season of grief. If we are still here, God is still working. Our assignment may look different from what it once did. Our pace may be slower. Our circle may be smaller. Our strength may feel reduced. But purpose is not measured by speed, visibility, or applause. Sometimes purpose looks like telling your story from a chair beside the bed. Sometimes it looks like praying for your children and grandchildren. Sometimes it looks like encouraging one weary soul. Sometimes it looks like enduring with grace so someone else can see what faithfulness looks like in the valley. Thriving does not look the same for everyone. For one person, thriving may mean rebuilding a life after loss. For another, it may mean accepting physical limitations with courage and dignity. For someone else, it may mean learning to live joyfully with a diagnosis they never wanted. Thriving is not pretending everything is fine. It is choosing to remain rooted in God when everything has changed. The key is remembering God's plan and purpose. His will, not mine. That is not always an easy prayer. Surrender rarely is. But it is a holy one. Lord, grant me the wisdom to navigate this season of my life. Help me to be and do all you have planned for me. Help me to influence, inspire, and encourage others to seek your will, your love, and your hope in their lives. Thanks for listening and being a part of our conversation. If this message meets you where you are today, share it with others who may need the same reminder. For more encouragement and resources, visit my website at everyonehasthefreedomtochoose.com.